All right. Well, I thought that, I would just tell you where I start on this deal. I saw a video, a takedown video. I've been watching this guy, and a lot of people have, this is a new thing where he compares the format and the notes. He breaks it all down, strips it out. Quite a following. I don't know what his name is. I typically don't engage in any of this stuff, so anybody that's watching this who knows Ken and knows that guy knows what I'm talking about. And what was put forward was that Ken was lip syncing. This is not a new charge. This has happened before. There was a young guy who was a vocal coach some years ago, who maybe 10 years ago, 8 years ago, who made a big deal out of lip syncing, and Ken, clearly lip syncing his videos according to him. I know Ken personally. I was taught by him, 5 months straight, sometimes twice and 3 times a week, doing 1 hour long vocal workouts and training and all that stuff. I'm a subscriber. I have his course, full disclosure. And so somebody had commented on my video about my endorsement of Ken as a blah, 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 lip syncing. And I thought, well, you know what? I don't know. I mean, I saw the video. I saw the takedown video of what he said. I understood the evidence. I looked at it. It clearly sounded like a track to me. But I don't want to really go into that so much. And this is probably going to be a long video, to be honest with you, because I really just want to speak my mind, but I'm not looking for headlines or or anything like that. So if your interest is to look for clickbait and hear juicy stuff, probably just move on, because you're not going to hear it. But I'll get to the point. I want to go through. I started watching the show. I'm going to play it in the background. I started watching the show, and I'm going to turn it down because I don't know how loud my mic is, because I don't really do this very often. But I'm going to show you several things that I heard as I was listening to him sing. Now, that's definitely live, no question about it. And you can tell live versus tracked because there's an energy and a connection to the mouth movements that immediately, intuitively resonates with what you're hearing. But even on this song, I noticed it right away. As soon as he goes higher, it really looked like not. It looked not like him. And there's a lot of cutting around, so you can't, if you're watching his mouth, you may be trying to see things that aren't there. But what you look for, see how it resolved right at the same time, his lips closed at the right time. So to me, that's all his voice. So anyways, I'm going to move to where the first thing I heard, I went, whoa, because it wasn't brought up in the takedown. Actually, he goes to this high part. Watch this. See how he closed down early on that? And that, look, they're probably all playing tracks. And here's what I would do. Let me just tell you my insider scoop on it's not an insider scoop, it's intuition, all right? Do you think all of these guys have kept their voice up like he has? No, probably not. I don't know who they are. So like if they're professionals and they're touring and like this is their job and all that stuff, great. But chances are they have not worked as hard as Ken has at their voice. And I've watched Ken, I've done the workouts. I got, I would say I had a pretty close relationship with him up to a point. And this guy is, he is a AAA personality. So the only thing he does is go hard. So chances are, if you're this guy, if you're this group, you're going, well, golly, Ken, how are we going to do this? It's been 14 years or however long it's been since. I don't think he tours very often, right? Going out and doing this at this scale is hard. I'm in a U2 tribute band, which, is something I've developed since I kind of stepped away from music about 8 years ago. And I got to tell you, like, being off of music for that long, it took me a full year of twice a week, when I could work it in twice and 3 times a week, plus the rehearsal to kind of get my voice even remotely back to what it was. almost a year. So, when they say you lose it, I didn't believe people when they told you that. If you don't use your voice, you lose it. That is 100% true. 100% true. I actually lost, I don't know, it's 4 or 6 notes. I used to be able to hit a high A above high C. No problem. Well, it's in the video. It's in the review video. I could just boom on command. Well, I can't do it anymore. F sharp is the highest I can go. I can get to that note, but the relaxation required in order to get there, it's just not a performance thing. Anyways, so if I'm these guys, what I go is, we can't keep up our voices, and we're not going to keep up with you, so we're probably going to go tracks, right? And what if he said, well, if you're going tracks, I probably can't match the timbre of tracks. Why would I sing and kind of ruin the show? So in my mind, there's a deference factor here of just like, let's make the show about the show rather than about, who's got the strongest voice. That's at least a plausible thing. But check this out. I think it's the second song when I heard it. All right, I think it's real early here. Watch this. Yeah, my ad blocker stopped working for some reason. I do not want to watch this. I'm not going to make you watch it. Good golly. All right. Are you careful? You heard it right there. Listen carefully. Right there, the onset of the note, you can hear he's struggling. Now, someone who's not a singer might not know that. You might not detect it right away. But he comes off a little weak. Now, I know that Ken knows support. I know that he knows that this dude's got a killer, very strong voice, as you can see throughout the show as he's singing. But the first notes there, watch, listen. Right there. See how he covers? Right there. I'm exaggerating, but because he didn't do exactly that. But you see he starts to fall, and I think he feels it. That's my hypothesis. Watch. And right there, did you hear that? On the and I can't even make my chord fail the way his was. Living on the boat. There you go. That's what he just did. He had distortion in it to cover it, but he went living in the boat. That's what he did because one chord flopped. Listen, and then even when he tries to talk. That's not distortion. That is failure. Remember this? Now, I know that he knows not to sing in the front of the chord, not to over-compress and not to use too much air. He knows that. So the only thing I can think of is he is suffering from a massive sinus infection, or he's got inflammation in his cords, and he just can't. He's doing the best he can to get through this. And by the way, I did a show, our inaugural show. How long is this video so far? 8 minutes. Okay, that's not that long. Our inaugural show with the U2 tribute band called the Joshua Tree. Golly, it took us almost a year to get to that point. And the week of the show, literally the week of the show, I get a massive sinus infection, and I'm down with quote unquote flu, pneumonia symptoms, and all the way up to it, I'm froggy, I can't ascend, I can't, it's like la, and I just couldn't do it. Right, it took till almost Friday it took till almost Thursday. Shows on Saturday. And maybe it's on Sunday. I think it's on Sunday. Till Friday before I could do a full range scale. So I'm going, oh no. And the problem when that's happening is when you have inflammation on the cords, they're weak. They can't hold up. What happens is, I don't know how to present a vocal fold, but to me, I know that they look like if you're looking at them from the top, they look like this, right? And they oscillate like that, so that and that's the phonation. But anyways, looking at it from the side, it's kind of like, I'm exaggerating, but it kind of does this. the way this works is that you have all this muscle in there and all this things and ligaments and doctor shit, whatever, I don't know what it is, but you have things in there that allow that to take pressure and allows it to increase your volume and increase the pressure through that thing. But the problem is when the inflammation is there, they just flop. They can't hold on. So you'll go, and that'll happen. And what's happening is that's going boop like that. That's what's happening. And when you're sick, you're hyper conscious of it. You're very aware of it. And first of all, that's another thing that you have to realize is that as a singer, I can't make my vocal cords do what I want them to do. I have to sort of trick them with supporting muscles around. It's not by force, it's by relaxing. It's not by pushing, it's by holding back. It's the strangest thing as far as you're trying to teach somebody how to sing and use the mechanism. It's some people I've heard it say you almost got to trick your voice into it. So, anyways, that's the point that I wanted to make. And what was he doing right there? What was he doing right there? He was trying to clear. Whatever's on his chords, he was trying, in my estimation, if I'm him, I'm trying to clear without coughing. Remember this? Remember this? Remember this? Get it off so that it doesn't keep affecting you. And now watch this. Now watch what he does here. Now I don't know what the original song sounds like, but he goes, now there's a thing that you can do if you're really good at compression is that you can throw it to distortion and cover almost all of that. And it has to be in a really bad and sorry situation for you to blow out there. Watch what he does. And he's even there you can hear he's a little weak, but listen, this is really gnarly the way he does it. Okay, now watch. Listen to that again. I don't know if that's loud enough. I'm gonna turn this up just a little bit. Watch. I want to show you how he did that. And I have total respect for this dude because his voice sounds awesome. I mean, what I'm about to show you takes a real man. This is real singing. And as he goes to release, and that's another problem with inflammation is that when you go to release, it won't release naturally with you. It'll flop again, and that flop just barely right there. Watch. Okay, but watch what he did. Even up the sky. And that's another problem you learn when you're singing. You can't just I don't know. It's hard to describe because I'm not a pathologist. I'm not a laryngitis fucking coach. I don't really know the mechanism, but I know that you're holding it, and as soon in your mind, as soon as you go to let it go, it's gonna jump on you, and there's no way around it. If there's inflammation in there, there's no way around it. It's gonna act randomly. It's just gonna do the thing it's gonna do. You're not gonna know when it's gonna happen. You're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel that you can't let go without that that false release that you don't want in the vocal cords. But he covered that. To me that sounded awesome. That was like, here, how can I and I'm speculating on his mindset. I have no idea what he's really thinking. I'm just telling you what I'd be thinking if I was him, knowing what he can do, and if I was on the stage and I'm here to just pull this banger show off, and I'm just gonna sell out and give it everything I can. So anyways, let's keep going. Okay, so he's not singing that. To me, that looks obviously lip synced. Here's the problem. Here's why you can say. So you might be thinking, okay, well, if you're going to lip sync the higher parts, why not lip sync the lower parts? I'll tell you why. Because on the higher parts, you stretch the chords even as thin as they can go, and especially him. He's a low bari. His voice can go think about low bass, 808. His voice can go way low. So he's got some gnarly thick chords. It's really impressive. It's unbelievable. But when you thin them out like that, you're at God's mercy. Because you cannot control that voice. It will just go bump, 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 bump. It will or it won't. So back to when we released our first show, there was songs that I did that I don't think anybody really knew that I was sick. There was other songs where I just kind of sounded pitchy, Bono's pitchy, so people would kind of probably gave me forgiveness on all of that. But that's the thing about the thin chords is like you have to be so ginger. If I'm gonna be singing one and I'm gonna go, like if I'm gonna do that, I have to thread that needle so perfectly because you can't really. When you're going to grab a note and you're going to like bring the pressure required to sing the notes, you have to bring a certain like throttle, I guess, or you're trained or you're used to doing a certain throttle. And you could do it lighter. Like I could go, like you probably, I don't know if you can hear, but I can. That is even like, it's not as good because I've practiced, I've trained the muscle to expect a certain velocity. So if I try and pull back and I'm not used to that or not ready for that, it still doesn't feel right. And, somebody smarter than me and with more experience could tell you the mechanics of what's really happening. But as a, psychology, you're really going to struggle to manage that effectively. And like what part of this, any of his stuff is like low throttle, like zero. So to me, to be like calling the guy out for tracks or whatever when he's, I don't even know how old he is. I think he was at least 10 years older than I was. So if he is 10 years older than I am, that puts him at 54. He might be a little older even than that. Now he's preached a long time that your voice can last a really long time. And I know that, I believe that to be true. I know for me, losing some of the notes and being able to get them back to me was a testimony that had I just kept it up, I'd have been fine and probably been 10 times the singer by now. But the reality is I think it's just it's a little too harsh and a little bit too much of a false expectation. I think the real question people should be asking is this. What does this say about his singing program? What does this say about KenTamplinVocalAcademy.com? What does it say about whether or not the proof is in the singing? What is it? Does it besmirch his claims? Let's talk about that in a second. Yeah, I mean that looks lip synced. I don't blame him though. If I got that many people who paid for a show, what do you want them to hear? Do you want them to hear that? Or do you want to hear him go, what do you want him to hear? You could say, well, why didn't you cancel the show? I don't know. Why did you get up in the morning and call into work? Why didn't you? I mean, to me, that's a silly thing to ask that question. It demands a level of perfection or performance that most people, if they're honest, well, they're not even trying to do. So what do you want to do? You want to be mad at him because he's human? I don't know that this happened, but what if it did? What if in preparing for this, they all said they couldn't sing, so he said, okay, I'll do tracks, and trying to prepare as hard as he could for them caused him to have a problem with his chord. Because he was facing the pressure trying to help them, and he just overdid it and didn't realize. What I understand of vocal failures, like a note or even a blister, you don't feel it coming on, and it can happen suddenly. It doesn't take much. So that's just a reality. All right, there was another one. Now I don't know about that. Looked real to me. And one of the things I've heard Steven Tyler say is that the high notes are easier, and I know that's basically true. If you're super relaxed, that's basically true. The high notes are actually easier than the tone notes, which is like your chest, your mid and chest voices. There you go, right there. That's what I wanted you to hear. Okay, now, why does that happen? Does he know that's going to happen? No, he doesn't know that's going to happen. He's going and he does a gather step. Watch. Watch. Back up. Watch. Notice his breath right here. Well, that's what I want you to. It's not the notes so much I want you to look at. Is notice what he does here in his diaphragm. Okay, he's not out of breath, right? He knows he's about to wail, and he doesn't. He's not set up for it yet. So he goes, and it doesn't matter. It still fails. That's that cord just falling off. It just can't. It can't handle the pressure. Now he's great at distortion. So I bet you live, you probably didn't hear that quite as well as we can hear it here. And only musicians would be mad about it. But you can hear. Oh golly, come on. We don't want to watch this. Fun. I like fun. Okay. Watch now. Listen to him. Listen to him talk. Say, "Hold up."
It's been a while. Gets me out behind my YouTube channel. I hope you know we changed our name though. Did you guys know that? We're the Glampas.
That's pretty funny.
The last time we got together.
Okay, now did you hear that? That right there, that stutter, that is what you're hearing is called a glottal stop. I only know that because it happens, singers become really accustomed to this, but if you ever go to talk and it's like, and you got to cough just before you talk, that technically is called a glottal stop, and that happens to him as he's speaking. And my guess is, again, if I'm him and I know what's going on here, I've got to, now I know for sure, whatever I thought before the show. By the way, I will tell you this. What's happening here, he knew that before the show. He 100% knew. He 100% knew what he was walking into. He was hoping he could get through it. He was hoping it wouldn't show as much as it maybe as it is, but he knows. All singers know when their voice is cannot hang on through the things that they're used to putting it through. And this dude has a Lamborghini. Like it's a V12 in there. This guy's, I'm telling you, this guy can wail and roar. He's got an amazing voice. So for him to like have this flat tire that just keeps popping up every once in a while is probably very frustrating. I haven't watched the whole show. I'm not going to watch the whole show, but I just want you to listen to this glottal stop. If I'm here and I'm him, I'm saying I need to pace myself, and I'm going to try and give my chords a second to sort of catch up. And talking gives him the ability to get comfortable with how his vocal cords are going to perform, like how they're going to respond to the pressure that he's going to put on them. And again, I'm always speaking for my own, what I would do.
Behind my YouTube channel. I hope you know we changed our name though. Did you guys know that? We're the Glampas. No, seriously. The last time we got together.
That little stutter, you hear that?
We got to play the Legends of Rock Festival in Germany. It was anyway, like 14 years ago. I think we were on the stage. Now we're playing the Immortal Festival, and the next is going to be the Afterlife Festival.
He's got a great laugh. My guess is, to be honest with you, because what's happening is all over the place in terms of notes, is that he's got a severe sinus infection. He's just doing the best he can to get through it. I seriously doubt he's got any permanent damage. And if Ken is who I think he is, he will eventually tell you about it. He's eventually going to use this information, and he may even break himself down and explain what he was going through and how he was managing it. So if there's any message I want you guys to have, anybody that cares to watch this garbage that I'm going through, is that the guy puts in the work. I've seen it. I wasn't there when this is going, but I know what it takes, and I know that he knows what it takes, and he knows that he can't just go out there and sling and pretend that everything's going to be all right if you haven't put the work in. So I stand behind his reputation and what he said. You've heard him say, if you don't warm up, you're not going to get through 3 songs, and I know that he warmed up, right? So I say that I know, meaning the guy taught me what it takes to be good at what you do. And it is unconscionable in my mind that he would depart from something that is like absolutely true and time tested. So as far as the lip syncing, I mean, the only thing I would not give him a pass on is that if he just said it wasn't. If somebody accused him of it and he just said, no, it wasn't, that's my voice, I'd go, oh man, just be honest. But I don't think he has to address it, honestly. What does he owe you? What does he owe you? The guy, it is his voice. He is doing it. He's putting on a show. And I guarantee you these people don't care. They're happy to see their favorite band singing the songs and playing the songs that they want to. And I think it's a level of criticality that has no real place in music, especially for aging bands, and everybody takes a different approach to it. Because of the U2 tribute band, and I'm wrapping up here, because of the U2 tribute band, I have watched an enormous amount of U2 footage. And to my knowledge, I've never watched Bono do any tracks. When his voice sucks, it just sucks. And I think each singer has to approach it the way they think faithfully represents to their audience who they are and what they're about. And if Ken feels like a track is going to represent his band and his image the best, I think kudos on him for not dying on a hill of some sort of virtue of my voice. My voice can't hold up, so I'm going to torture you all with my squawks. And for those people who want to have a problem with that, the only thing I'd say is, like, you can have a problem with that, say your piece and walk away, all that, but do it first. Be in that situation. I've been in that situation a few times. I didn't use tracks because I couldn't, but I would have, because I'd rather people have a good time than me fail in front of them. And that's really the key. So that's it. To anybody that wanted to hear that, I hope it was valuable. I'd sign up for his course again tomorrow. So for what it's worth, that's all I got to say about that.